Hey you guys, welcome and welcome back. Ooh, I just had a brain fart for a minute. Why is my brain farting? I didn't smell nothing. But no, for real, welcome and welcome back, you guys. I wanted to talk to you guys real quick about something that's kind of frustrating me because I get irritated sometimes with social media. I love to create, right? And I love to express my thoughts on public platforms in a way that is not ignorant, right? Because there's so many people who are just doing things that are ignorant and being ignorant out here that I really feel it's necessary to have a balance. I feel like those of us who have good God-given common sense and a little bit of level-headedness and balance within ourselves need to also be as aggressively expressive online. But what irritates me is that it's a lot harder for those of us who are true creatives. It's a lot more difficult for those of us who are true intuitives. It's a lot more challenging when it comes to those of us who can tap into several different markets or tap into several different subjects, because the internet always wants you to have this niche. The internet has taught us that we must fit into this box, this phantom fucking funky ass box that to me kind of like resembles dirty draws. Like it smells like ass and balls and dirty coochie in that box. And I don't want to go in there, bitch. I don't want to go in there. I don't want to fit in that box. I don't want to have to carefully curate and manipulate what I say and what I do to fit a niche, okay? Say hey to the kitty. Look at how close she is. Cat distribution system, hard at work. But I don't want to fit into that funky ass box. It's stank in there. It's stank in there, bitch. I don't want to go in there. And then they close it on you. So you definitely have no ventilation to breathe. And I'm just not that type of person. And it frustrates me because that is what I truly despise about this illusion that has been created within social media. It's crazy that they call it social media. And it's been propagandized and basically marketed in a way to make us think that it helps us be more social, when in reality it's doing the opposite. It makes us believe and appear as if we have all of these friends and all of these things going on, and people have never had so many friends ever in the world. But then in reality, people are unaliving themselves behind the screen once the camera turns off. And I feel like that's because we have been forced through this endeavor and forced through this invention to fit into these boxes and fit into these niches that it's not realistic. It's not humane. It's not the reality of what life truly is. And I don't think that it's something that we need to continue to do. It's like, I don't know why the fuck everybody feels so constricted, airways all locked up, sinuses all blocked. We need a spiritual breathe right strip at this point, because I don't understand how we can be so constricted and everyone feels it and everyone knows it and everyone witnesses it and sees it on these social platforms, yet we still bend over and take it with no Vaseline. I don't understand that. And I'm not saying that there has to be violence. I'm not saying that there has to be retaliation. But there could simply be a lack of involvement. But see, they've allowed for anything and everything to be accessible, which is sometimes a positive, but it can also be a negative, because there's always going to be opposite polarities for any situation that you are in. And the fact that we have all of this connectivity and all of this access and all of this overload of information has definitely assisted humanity in a lot of ways, which I'm thankful for and I'm grateful for, but it's also hindered us in a lot of ways too. And it gives us, in my opinion, a false sense of security in our reality when everything is literally crumbling around us. And I feel like that was the plan. The plan was for us to be glued to these goddamn phones and devices so close to where we don't see the world falling apart over our head. I wouldn't be surprised if the firmament busted open, at some point, and we all just getting swallowed up in the water because we're looking at the phone. It's like a pure disregard for survival. And it just baffles me. It just perplexes me. And it's because they've trained us to fit in these niches and fit in these boxes. And they've trained all of you out there in the ethers of the internet to literally do their dirty work for them. Just like when they say there are people who are black white supremacists. You remember on Dave Chappelle, what was his name? Not Tyrone Biggums, but the blind man. What was his name? Y'all put it in the comments. I know y'all know what his name was. Clayton Bigsby or something like that. And he was the black white supremacist, and he was blind and he didn't know he was black. But he was out there basically. And listen, Dave Chappelle knew what the fuck was going on, because he made sure it was some things that was said before he got on up out of there. And I appreciate him for that, because I was a teenager watching Dave Chappelle after school, going to my friend's house after school and watching Dave Chappelle at her house, like just every season. And it was hilarious, and it was real, and it was the way that he could express his frustration with the world at that point, which honestly still resonates now. Maybe even more so. But that's the thing. It's like they've trained us to be Clayton Bigsby. They've trained us to be the black white supremacist, but not necessarily in terms of, racism. More so in terms of our own suppression and our own demise. They've trained us to eliminate ourselves. And I feel like it stems from these carefully curated images and personas that we feel we have to create on these social media platforms. But humans in reality are multifaceted. That is what creates our humanity. That is a major factor in our humanity. And it's like, if you give that up, that's another form, technically or abstractly, however you want to look at it, that's another form of selling your fucking soul. The bee just buzzed by, child. Giving up your individuality, giving up your authenticity, giving up your independent thought, which is insane. I don't give a fuck who comes at me for what reason. I really don't. Honestly, I told y'all several times, there are a few hills that I am willing to die on, and one of them is my authenticity and my individual perspective on the world. I'm willing to die on that hill, because these content creators and influencers who have these curated profiles on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and Snapchat and all these places are boring as fuck. Y'all are boring as fuck. Y'all are really dry and bland and boring. And then all of y'all goofs in the fucking comments are the ones who are egging it on, like, yeah, looking goofy and stupid. Bland. Bland as hell. Like fucking potato salad with raisins in it. Nasty. Disgusting. And it just doesn't make sense to me. And that's why, you know what? I think that's why a lot of us who were born in transitional phases, and I usually bring up like the 80s and 90s kids, because what people don't realize, what the younger generation doesn't realize, is that 80s and 90s kids, and even maybe some late 70s kids, were born in a time and raised in a time where the progression of this, whatever the fuck we want to call it, this evolution of life, was not moving as quickly as what it is right now. A lot of these kids don't understand that there was a time before social media. There was a time before electronics. We went outside. We got into nature. And that's what they want to do. They're trying to shut off these kids who are going to replace all of us adults. They're trying to shut off their pineal gland. They're trying to shut off their connection to source. They're trying to shut off any type of cord, or cut any type of cord that they have to humanity, so that they can turn them into slaves. And it's so fucking obvious. And you can call me crazy if you want. You know, YouTube is probably gonna not push this content, because they don't push any of my content, because I'm authentic and I'm a real ass bitch, and I say things that are down to earth and sensible. And I would probably, you know, change a lot of things that they did. You know, they don't suppress people for no reason, bitch. And the people who are, you know, doing other things, they don't, even in, not just on YouTube, but even in other platforms of, you know, the entertainment industry, they don't suppress people for no reason, okay? But it just baffles me, and it's insane that now, being as we are the children who are now the adults of the current day and age, being the children and the teens that grew up in a time where we remember things being simpler and more peaceful, even if it was just on the surface, there was a blueprint that we could follow. It pains me that so many of us are bending over, splitting cheeks, and taking it with no Vaseline. And it's really, you know, it's really upsetting, because I wish that more of us would get some balls, because we are the only ones left that will remember a time before what we're about to go into. Because I don't really think y'all realize what we're about to go into. Okay? And some of you do realize it, but you're not truly like allowing yourself to believe it. And that's partially a good thing, because, you know, sometimes our beliefs create reality, but it's also another side to that coin where you can't be fucking stupid and gullible. I just feel at this point we need to allow people to express who they are in any facet of their life. And there's a saying about the jack of all trades, but a master of none. It's like, it's like, it's better to be a jack of all trades than the master of one. And then something about a jack of all trades and the master of none. Like, everybody says, oh, a jack of all trades, but a master of one, or master of none. I don't know how to say it, but see, look, they still watching. They watching. Why would a helicopter just randomly fly over when I'm talking about this shit? You get what I'm saying? Whatever, though. Call me a conspiracy theorist. Call me insane. You can call me whatever the fuck you want to call me, because it doesn't really change who I feel I am. But at the end of the day, like, the saying, people cut it off halfway. And more than likely, I will try to put it in the thumbnail so that you guys can see it, or I'll put the saying in the description box. But people always only say jack of all trades and a master of none, but there's an additional part to it that actually highlights the fact that being a jack of all trades, I feel, could be positive if I'm remembering it correctly. All I'm saying is, I would rather dibble and dabble and dip a toe in many different things, try different things, and create depth in my life depth of experience, depth of perception, than to be so shallow-minded and lost. Because when your depth perception is off, you're out of balance. You can't gauge the shape of things in the world. And I just want for anyone who's watching this video to understand that just because everything and everyone is trying to push you into that funky ass stinking box, you do not have to smell them dirty draws. Okay, so y'all be sure to like and subscribe to continue to catch the vibe, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.